It's interesting you said that. I remember Tori King told me a story that when the Wallace political machine was going, that they would call and say like, "Hey, we need 5,000 votes coming out of Pickens County tonight," and they would say, "We don't have 5,000 voters in there." It's like, that's not what I told you. I told you we need 5,000 votes coming out of there. Um, so you was in Russia. What city in Russia did you
But
go
let me
to?
say what you just since you introduced this, Chris, I think it's
Okay.
important to go back. You will always know how many ballots you started with statewide. Then you know how many ballots went to each one of the 67 counties. Then you know how many ballots went to each one of the 1,980 polling sites in the state. Then you know how many ballots were actually cast by the voters that went to the polling site that day. You know how many voters came to the polling site that day. You know how many ballots may have been spoiled, sold, or damaged and unable to be used. And when you're able to add up all those numbers at the end of the day, it should be exactly the same number. If it's not the same number, then you know that there was a mistake at some level, and you can go back and determine where that error occurred, and then you know how to begin addressing that according to the policies and procedures that are in place for election administration. And then the code tells you what the result of that investigation should be if it does not come out the way that it should, which is to equal the number that was on the machine.
Oh wow. Okay. So you told me you was in Russia
Yes,
as an
I was an
observer.
international election observer in Russia with the Office of Security and Exchange in Europe. And I was selected to do that along with one of my assistants in the office at the time. His name was John Bennett. We went to Russia. I was in Volgograd, and that's where I observed the elections. John had to actually go to the far reaching parts of Russia, but we were over there for 10 to 12 days during September of 2016, and it was an unbelievable experience. I was the highest ranking U.S. official that was present for that activity.
So shifting gears right here, John, what do you think facing the number one issues facing Alabama now?
Oh, look, we have a number of issues that are very important in our state and to the people of our state. I think some of the top issues are infrastructure, job creation, education, healthcare, mental health, law enforcement. Those issues are extraordinarily important, and they should be important to each and every one of the 5 million Alabamians in our state.
We seem to have an inordinate amount of, I guess, criminal gang activity in our major metro areas. Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile comes to mind. I mean, the number of people murdered in Birmingham last year was just mind-boggling, given the size of the town. The governor has created a crime suppression unit, that will go in and lock down some of these neighborhoods and some of these worst areas. What is your do you what is your view on those that sort of aggressive law enforcement?
Look, I don't know that our law enforcement is able to be as aggressive as we need them to be in order to protect the people in this state that need to be protected. And that's the average law-abiding citizen that goes around trying to take care of their business each and every day, do everything that they can within their power to provide for their family and to live a life that is unimpeded by the government, unimpeded by other people trying to cause them ill will or harm, and just trying to enjoy themselves, provide for their family, and do the things that are necessary for them to live the life that they want to live. I think because of the litigious nature of our society today, a number of law enforcement officers are hesitant, reluctant, and sometimes actually intimidated to be able to do their job effectively. I think one of the things that we have to do to provide our law enforcement officers with the support that they need to let them know that we're behind them and to encourage them to do their job the way that they've been trained to do it successfully. When we identify people that are in law enforcement that maybe don't have the best motives, for doing the job that they've been hired to do. Those people need to be replaced. If they need to be investigated, if they need to be indicted, if they need to go to the penitentiary because of the things that they're doing or that they're not doing, then we need to give that attention as well. But we have got to make sure that those outstanding people who have decided to serve as first responders, primarily since we're talking now in the area of law enforcement, we've got to make sure that those people have the resources they need and that they have the support they need so they can do the job they've been hired to do.
John, you mentioned education a while ago, and it seems like every year that's at the front. And I know that a couple years ago we were ranked 24th or 25th on dollars spent or something. Is the money we're spending not being allocated right, or what do we have to do to get our education system moving upwards?
Chris, it's not about the money. I mean, the money is very important, but the money is primarily used in the area of personnel, is to hire qualified people to serve as teachers, is to hire qualified people to serve as administrators, is to hire qualified people to serve as transportation advisors and directors and bus drivers, to have people that are hired that are qualified to serve in custodial areas or in aides in the classroom. Whatever it happens to be, we need to make sure that the resources are there in order to meet those needs. Now, there are other families that would prefer to have their children educated in a homeschool environment or to go to a private parochial or independent school. All of those opportunities need to be provided to the people of Alabama. But we have to remember that public school education is the most important thing that we can invest in our state, because at some point, all of us will interact with people who've gone through the public school environment. And we need to make sure that the education that they're receiving is high quality and is educating them at the level where they say they have been educated and that they are able to function in society in a positive way that enables them to be able to be positive contributors in all aspects of our society.
John, Governor Ivy in, her 8 years and now extending on out has done a really good job of economic development. We brought in a lot of factories. We've, data centers. We've expanded existing factories. We're running up into now where the barrier isn't sites, it isn't economic development money, it's the availability of workers that we're running into a workforce participation issue where only about 57, 58% of the Alabama population is involved in the workforce. Is there something the state can do to get somebody off the couch who theoretically could work,
Sure.
but for whatever reason doesn't want to?
Absolutely. And Brandon, look, one of the things that we have to do is we have to stop incentivizing people to stay at home, sit on the couch, eat potato chips and drinking Coca-Colas. We have to quit allowing those people to receive a check just because they're able to fog a mirror. People that need some type of support, if it's important for them to receive that because of their physical disability or because of their inability to be able to find a job because they've been injured. We need to find a way to give attention to those things, but that cannot be the primary path that people choose in order to receive a check. We've also got to make sure that we are educating our people so that when they finish their education, their high school education, they're able to enter the workforce. Some people choose to go to college. Some people want to go immediately to the workforce. Wherever it is, we have to make sure those people are qualified to do jobs. And so workforce development is primary in our state to ensure that when people take that next step, when they finish their education, they can go forward and they can get a job that will pay a living wage, that will allow them to be able to do the things that are necessary to contribute to society in a positive way, no matter what kind of location that is, whether it's building homes, brick building, masonry, carpentry, all of those things, whether it's working to build roads and working for major providers of people that do that in the concrete or the asphalt industry, also making sure that people are able to go work in the healthcare industry or first response service industry. All of those things are so very important to us, and we have to make sure that we continue to invest in that in the K-12 segment, as well as the community education segment and higher education segment.